The Senate chamber of the Zytherian Empire glittered like a jewel. Columns of crystal stretched into vaulted ceilings, banners of conquest draped from every arch, and 1,000 alien dignitaries filled the tiers. They sat in concentric rings, each seat pulsing with faint bioluminescence. Murmurs drifted across the hall like the buzz of predators before a kill. At the center, beneath the light of the grand dome, stood Coranve. He was old by Zytherian standards, nearly 3 centuries of campaigns etched into his scarred body. One of his 4 arms trembled faintly, not from fear, but from the weight of memories. The others gripped the edge of the podium as if bracing against a tide no one else could see. "You do not understand," Coran began, his voice low, gravel dragged across stone. "You think them primitives because their weapons lack the elegance of ours. You believe their ships crude, their worlds divided. You see them as a footnote to conquest. I tell you now, if you set your fleets upon Earth, you awaken a beast you cannot put down." The chamber rippled with derisive laughter. Senators chittered, clicked mandibles, hissed through frilled mouths. A dozen translators buzzed in tandem, rendering Coran's warning into the tongues of dozens of species. The meaning was always the same: paranoia, weakness, cowardice. At the highest dais, Chancellor Vadris rose. His robes shimmered with woven gold thread, his eyes reflecting the cold arrogance of absolute rule. "General Coranve," he said, drawing out the title with mock respect. "You fought many wars. You earned scars and medals alike. But now, it seems age has dulled your vision." He spread his arms to the chamber. "Humans are a splintered race, fighting amongst themselves even now. They are children with sharpened sticks. Do you mean to frighten the Empire with tales of campfire savages?" Laughter swelled. Coran did not flinch. "I have seen their eyes," he answered, each word a stone dropped into a silent lake. "When cornered, when blood is drawn, there is no surrender. They do not yield, Chancellor. They consume. Every scar upon me I earned facing enemies who fought to live another day. But humanity—" He paused, chest tight, memory pressing against him. "Humanity fights as if every day is the last. And they will make sure it is for their enemies." The laughter faltered. For a heartbeat, silence held. Then a senator of the Caraxian caste rose, mandibles twitching. "A romantic myth," it sneered. "Perhaps the humans bloodied a border patrol. Shall we tremble because savages bite when cornered? They are not myths," Coran snapped, his old voice suddenly thunderous. His upper arms pointed to the grand displays above the chamber, where human history unfurled in holograms, burning cities, endless wars, the rise and fall of nations in cycles of fire. "Look upon their past. No empire guided them. No overseer tamed them. They built their world through slaughter, through unbroken conflict. Every step in their history is war. Do you not see? They are not untested, they are honed." The silence stretched longer this time. A few senators whispered, uneasy. The images on the hollow burned brighter, mushroom clouds blooming, trenches flooded with blood, cities reduced to rubble. Even the hardened warlords among the delegates shifted uncomfortably. Chancellor Vadris clapped his hands, breaking the spell. "Spectacle," he declared. "Yes, their history is violent. But violence without order is weakness. They are fragmented, undisciplined, primitive. They have no fleets that can match ours, no weapons to pierce our shields, no unity to face us. They will crumble as all others have." He leaned forward, voice like a blade. "And you, old general, peddle fear. Why? Because you are spent? Because your courage rotted with age? You embarrass your service." The chamber hissed with approval. Dozens of delegates pounded their seats in rhythm. Coran's jaw tightened. He had commanded fleets that blackened the skies of 10 worlds. He had seen comrades fall by the millions. Fear was not new to him, but the arrogance here chilled him deeper than any battlefield. "I do not fear for myself," Coran said quietly, his voice carrying not through volume but through weight. "I fear for the Empire. You think conquest is inevitable. It is not. These humans will bleed you. They will bleed your fleets, your armies, your cities. You may crush their planets, but in doing so you will forge something you cannot destroy: unity. Every drop of their blood binds them tighter. Every death makes them stronger. Until the day they rise, not to defend, but to end. For the first time, murmurs carry not of mockery but unease. Some senators shifted in their seats. A younger delegate of the Varen League leaned toward a colleague. Could it be true? Could primitives? Chancellor Vadris cut across the uncertainty like a blade through silk. Enough. We will not waste time on the paranoia of a relic. His hand swept the chamber. The vote stands. Tomorrow, the fleets march to Earth. The humans will learn their place. The Empire expands as it always has. The vote was called. Overwhelmingly, the chamber glowed green. Only a handful flickered red. The decision was sealed. Coranve stood alone in the center, the light of the chamber cold upon him. His arms dropped from the podium, heavy as stone. Then you have already signed your death writ, he whispered. The Chancellor gestured, and guards approached. General Coranve is hereby stripped of council privilege. Exile him to the frontier. Let him rot with his ghosts. They led him away. He did not resist. The last sound he heard as he left the chamber was laughter echoing against crystal walls. Outside the Senate spires, the core worlds glittered with arrogant celebration. Banners of conquest unfurled. Shipyards hummed with new orders. War drums thundered through the capital as the fleets prepared to depart. From a shuttle window, bound for exile, Coran watched the vast armadas assemble, ships stretching across the void like a swarm of steel locusts. He had once commanded such fleets. Now he watched them sail toward doom. They will learn, he muttered, voice almost lost to the hum of engines. Too late, they will learn. Far from the core, on a windswept human colony orbiting a red star, alarms screamed. Soldiers scrambled to defensive positions. Orbital stations lit up with desperate energy signatures. A commander, scarred and unshaven, stared at the tactical display. Massive alien fleets bloomed across the edges of his sensors. Contact, an officer said, voice tight. They're here. The commander slid a sidearm into his holster, lips curling into a humorless smile. So the galaxy wants to test us. Let's show them Earth doesn't break. The order went out. Guns primed. Trenches filled. Across the stars, the first clash between humanity and the Empire drew near. The first human colony to fall under the Empire's shadow was Carthage Station, a mining outpost orbiting a pale asteroid belt. The Zytherian fleet arrived expecting banners of surrender, perhaps a token exchange of gunfire for ceremony's sake. Instead, they found themselves engulfed in chaos. The opening salvos were not sleek barrages of advanced weaponry. They were crude mines, cargo haulers packed with explosives, piloted by crews who never intended to return. The first 3 Imperial destroyers disintegrated before their shields fully charged. For a moment, the void fell silent, the Empire's captains staring at the impossible, losses at the hands of primitives. On the human side, the colony's commander barked into the comms. Keep throwing junk at them. Every ton of ore becomes a weapon. Every freighter is a missile. Make them choke on scrap. His voice carried not panic, but iron resolve. Imperial retaliation was swift and merciless. Energy lances swept across the station, burning through metal and flesh alike. Carthage Station was gone within hours, yet the price was staggering, an entire Imperial battlegroup gutted. Word of the slaughter raced ahead of the retreating fleet. Humans had lost everything, yet their enemies bled more than they ever anticipated. Europa became the next battlefield. The ice moon of Jupiter, pocked with domes and drilling sites, turned into a fortress overnight. Earth's generals knew the Empire would strike there, and they prepared not with shining fleets, but with trenches carved into frozen ground. When the Imperial legions descended, they found themselves facing a kind of warfare they thought extinct. Rows of barbed wire. Kill zones laced with automated turrets. Soldiers waist-deep in ice and mud, rifles steady, waiting with patience honed by centuries of terrestrial wars. The first wave of Zytherian infantry advanced in perfect formation, shields raised, banners streaming. They had drilled for order, precision, unstoppable cohesion. They met something alien to them, chaos wielded with discipline. Human mortars screamed from hidden craters, ripping holes through the perfect lines. Snipers cracked shots across kilometers, dropping officers where they stood. When the legions pressed forward, they found themselves funneled into narrow corridors blasted into the ice, each step leading them deeper into traps. Flamethrowers roared, grenades rained down, and screams of the dying echoed beneath Europa's frozen crust. Imperial soldiers who survived later whispered that the humans fought like predators in a den. They never stopped shooting, never gave ground freely. Wounded men dragged themselves upright, firing until their last breath. Even the ground itself seemed hostile, mines buried under ice, tunnels collapsing deliberately, choking invaders in rubble. In the heart of the chaos, Captain Elias Ward crouched in the freezing trench, helmet rim crusted with frost. He wiped blood, not his own, from his visor. "Status?" he asked, voice clipped. A corporal beside him answered between ragged breaths. "Ammo low. Reinforcements down to half. They keep coming." Ward looked down the trench line. Men and women clutched rifles with white-knuckled grips. No one complained. No one asked for retreat. The unspoken truth hung between them: there was nowhere to retreat to. He clicked his comm. "Command, this is Trench Line Delta. We're holding. Tell Earth, they'll need 1,000 more soldiers to take this ice ball from us." His words carried up the chain, transcribed, broadcast, and repeated across human networks. Defiance became contagion. The Empire answered with fury. Orbital bombardments hammered the moon's surface, reducing trenches to smoldering craters. Still, when the dust cleared, the humans emerged again, rifles raised, eyes burning. They used every scrap of ruined machinery as cover, turning wreckage into barricades, corpses into obstacles. Imperial commanders began to mutter privately, wondering how a species so primitive could adapt so fast. On the core worlds, the Senate chamber received the first full casualty report. Numbers flashed across the display, columns of dead climbing higher with each day. Murmurs rippled. Some senators shifted uneasily. Yet Chancellor Vadris dismissed the data with a contemptuous flick of his claw. "Exaggerations. We are facing resistance, nothing more. The outcome is inevitable." Far from the core, Coranve sat in exile, watching the same figures scroll across his data slate. He leaned back, scars aching as though the ghosts of past wars stirred within him. "The beast wakes," he murmured. Vindication did not bring him satisfaction, only dread. By the third week of fighting, the war reached a rhythm of slaughter. Human colonies burned, but every imperial victory demanded mountains of bodies. The Empire's doctrine of swift dominance faltered. Their troops had trained for swift subjugation, not wars of attrition. A Zytherian squad commander, speaking in hushed tones to his superior after a skirmish on Europa, gave voice to the fear spreading among the ranks. "They don't break, sir. Even dying, they fight. We cut them down, and still they crawl toward us. It is like facing machines that bleed." His superior dismissed him publicly, but when the report reached the War Council, even seasoned admirals shifted uncomfortably. The word was spreading across the ranks: humans did not know how to surrender. In the underground bunkers of Earth, the United Defense Council convened. For the first time in recorded history, every flag of Earth hung side by side without division. Generals from across nations studied star maps, casualty projections, and intercepted transmissions. "They expected us to beg," one general said, slamming a fist against the table. "Instead, we've bloodied them. But bleeding them isn't enough. We must strike harder. If we only defend, they will grind us down." A scientist in the corner adjusted his glasses. "We've begun adapting captured tech. Their shield harmonics are exploitable. With time, we can level the gap." Ward's voice came over the secure feed from Europa. His face was dirt-streaked, eyes hollow, but his words steady. "We don't need to match them. We just need to remind them every inch of ground costs them more than it's worth. They came for conquest. We'll give them extinction. The council fell silent at the blunt declaration. Finally, the chairwoman spoke. Then so be it. Earth will not kneel. We will make them pay for every step they take. By month's end, the Empire had captured Europa, but at a cost they had never imagined. Entire legions lay buried beneath its ice. Warships limped back to repair docks, hulls scarred, crews shaken. The Senate grew restless. Whispers of unease echoed in private chambers, though none dared challenge the Chancellor openly. In the trenches of Europa's ruins, survivors whispered their own truths. A wounded Imperial medic, captured and questioned by human soldiers, gave voice to what his kind feared most. His words were recorded, replayed across human channels. They don't fight like others. They don't retreat. They don't even care if they live. They enjoy it. When the recording reached Earth's war rooms, silence fell. Finally, one officer chuckled darkly. Enjoy it? No. We just don't lose. Across the stars, the message spread: humanity would not be broken. The Empire's fleet gathered above Mars, banners of conquest unfurling in shimmering projections across the void. Hundreds of warships aligned in perfect formation, hulls gleaming like a wall of obsidian. The commanders expected a swift campaign, one decisive strike to break human morale. Confidence radiated through the ranks, as if the chaos of Europa had been nothing but an inconvenience. But waiting for them was no desperate defense. Humanity had prepared a trap. The opening move came from the belt. A cluster of seemingly abandoned mining asteroids drifted near the red planet's orbit. Imperial scouts reported nothing unusual, until the rocks shifted course. Buried engines ignited, pushing the asteroids into the fleet's path. When Imperial weapons targeted them, the miners' charges detonated. A chain reaction turned the belt into a storm of fire and stone. Warships cracked like glass under the barrage. On the bridge of an Imperial cruiser, Admiral Vaylor shouted over alarms. Impossible! They use rubble as weapons? How did they? The words cut off as another asteroid tore through the formation. In the shadows of Mars, human ships emerged. Not sleek or elegant, patched freighters retrofitted with rail guns, submarines turned into stealth corvettes, warships cobbled together from scraps. Crude, yes. Effective, terrifyingly so. Inside the flagship Resolute, Captain Elias Ward stood before the tactical display. His uniform was scorched, his face lined by weeks of exhaustion, but his voice carried steady authority. Hit them while they're scattered, Ward ordered. Every target of opportunity. We're not here to win a fleet action, we're here to make them choke on their arrogance. The crew roared acknowledgement. Human ships darted through the debris field, striking crippled destroyers, boarding disabled cruisers. Where the Empire relied on precision, humans wielded desperation like a blade. Boarding actions began almost immediately. Marines in patched armor launched across void in jury-rigged pods, slamming into hulls with magnetic clamps. They cut their way inside, fighting corridor by corridor in brutal close quarters. On one captured vessel, Sergeant Keller wiped alien blood from her visor, panting. Who the hell still fights with bayonets in space? A private grinned grimly. We do. The galaxy had not seen such warfare in centuries. To the Empire, combat meant fleets maneuvering at distance, elegant strategies executed by machines. Humans tore that doctrine apart. They dragged war down to its dirtiest form, face-to-face, knife-edge survival. And they thrived in it. News spread faster than light across the conquered worlds. For the first time in generations, species enslaved by the Empire dared to hope. If humans could wound the great machine, perhaps it could be broken. Uprisings flickered on distant colonies, rebellions sparked by whispers of Earth's defiance. In exile, Coranve watched reports flood his console. Entire dreadnought groups crippled, rebellions flaring across sectors. His claws dug into the armrest. I told them, he muttered, sorrow heavy in his chest. And still, they refused. The true turning point came when humanity captured the Imperial dreadnought's Sunspire. The battle raged for hours across the Martian orbit. Boarding teams breached the colossal vessel, fighting room by room. When the smoke cleared, human soldiers stood battered but victorious on the command deck. Images of their flag planted on the dreadnought's shattered bridge swept across the networks. To the galaxy, it was unthinkable. The invincible Empire had been beaten at its own game. A captured Imperial officer, later interrogated on Earth, whispered in horror. They weaponize death. They do not fear it. They embrace it. The words spread like wildfire, intended as a warning. Instead, they became a banner. Soldiers repeated it with grim pride. We embrace it. In the Senate chamber, panic gnawed at the once confident delegates. Reports piled higher each day, fleets shattered, colonies lost, rebellions rising. For the first time, the Chancellor's certainty faltered. Still, Vadris stood before them, voice rising above the uproar. Do not be deceived. These victories are illusions. We are the Empire. Our strength is eternal. Humanity will break if we strike harder. One last campaign, one final push, and this madness ends. Whispers ran through the chamber, doubt cloaked as obedience. Few truly believed, yet none dared openly oppose him. When the council finally reached out to Coranve, desperation clung to every word. A young senator begged through the hololink. General, you warned us. Tell us what they want. How do we stop this? Coran's face appeared in the blue haze, older now, sorrow etched deeper into his scars. His voice was calm, heavy as stone. They do not fight for conquest, he said. They fight because you threaten their survival. And when humans fight for survival, there is no end but yours. They will not stop at defense. They will not stop at peace. They will not stop until the threat to their existence is ash. You asked me how to stop them. I tell you now, you cannot! The chamber fell silent, his words echoing like a prophecy of doom. Back on Mars, Captain Ward stood on the bridge of the captured Sunspire, staring out at the stars littered with wreckage. His crew moved silently around him, too exhausted for cheers. A lieutenant approached. Sir, transmissions confirm it. Uprisings are breaking out across the Empire. They're cracking. Ward didn't smile. His eyes were hollow, his voice steady but grim. Good. But this isn't about rebellion. It's about survival. We didn't start this war, but we'll damn well finish it. He turned to the crew. Set course deeper into their space. If they wanted to test humanity, then let's show them the result. Engines flared. The dreadnought, once a symbol of Imperial might, now carried Earth's defiance into the heart of enemy territory. From his exile, Coranve watched the broadcast of the human fleet's advance. For a long time, he said nothing. Then, quietly, almost like a prayer, he whispered. The fire has been lit. I warned them it would consume everything. Now the galaxy will see what it means to awaken humanity.